In the midst of a winter wonderland, a majestic snow castle stands proudly, its icy roof reaching towards the sky. Everywhere you look, the landscape is covered in white, glistening under the soft glow of moonlight. Within the castle walls, a scene unfolds like something out of a fairy tale. At the heart of the castle's grand hall, a table is adorned with a big cake. A young girl stands beside it, her breath visible in the chilly air as she leans forward to place a single candle atop the cake. With a flick of her wrist, she ignites the flame, casting a warm light that dances across the room. The girl, none other than Princess Valerie Bellov, looks at the candle with a mixture of excitement and hesitation. Today marks her 19th birthday, a milestone she never imagined she would reach. Yet here she stands, a survivor in a frozen world where every day is a battle against the elements. As she takes a deep breath, preparing to make her wish, the words "Happy Birthday, Valerie" escape her lips in a soft whisper. Despite the joy of the moment, a shadow lingers in the back of her mind. Outside the castle walls, she knows that there are those who wants to see her fall, who would stop at nothing to see her dead. And so, with a determined smile, Princess Valerie closes her eyes and blows out the candle, sending small patches of sparks into the air. In that moment, she feels a sense of hope stir within her heart. For no matter what challenges may lie ahead, she knows that as long as she has the strength of her own spirit, she will always find a way to prevail. Let's transport ourselves back to a pivotal moment in Princess Valerie's life, a moment steeped in tension and judgment. The air is heavy with anticipation as the court gathers, a sea of murmuring voices echoing off the grand walls of the chamber. In the center of it all stands Princess Valerie, her heart pounding with uncertainty as she awaits her fate. Her stepbrother, a figure of authority within the court, steps forward to pronounce the sentence. His words hang in the air like a weight, casting a shadow over the assembled crowd. With a solemn tone, he declares that Princess Valerie shall be bestowed the MacLeod Castle, a decree met with murmurs of discontent from the gathered onlookers. Among the throng of people, whispers ripple through the crowd like a gathering storm. Many voices express their disapproval of the sentence, deeming it too lenient for the crimes she is accused of. They argue vehemently that Princess Valerie deserves a harsher punishment, invoking the memory of her mother's betrayal and attempted assassination of the Empress. Execution would be too kind for the daughter of a traitor, they cry, their voices rising in indignation. They call upon the Emperor to mete out a more severe punishment, their fervent pleas filling the chamber with a palpable sense of urgency. But the Emperor, seated upon his throne with a steely resolve, silences the clamor with a single command. Enough, he declares, his voice cutting through the tumult like a knife. Any who dare to speak against this judgment shall share in the fate of the princess. His words hang in the air, a stark reminder of the consequences of disobedience. The court falls into an uneasy silence, the weight of his authority crushing any further dissent. Slowly, reluctantly, the crowd begins to disperse, breaking off into small clusters of whispered conversation, as they digest the events that have transpired. And as Princess Valerie is led away to her new home at MacLeod Castle, she can't help but wonder what lies in store for her beyond its imposing walls. But one thing is certain, her journey is far from over, and the road ahead will be fraught with challenges and trials unlike any she has faced before. Confinement in a frozen castle is no different from a death punishment, but her stepbrother chose that as the best option to pardon her death, although she had done nothing at all. A frozen castle on the peak of the snow mountain, the MacLeod Castle. The MacLeod Mountain, which was once filled with greenery, froze up 500 years ago. As the emperor at that time, Emperor Loxa, defeated the monster which had freezing abilities, the moment the emperor's sword stabbed that monster heart, a force exploded out, one which froze the whole mountain in a blink of an eye, to which followed frozen villages and hundreds of casualties. Even after 500 years, the forest remains unchanged and still retains the terror of Gard accident, as if it's yesterday. Was getting exiled to such place not enough, that she had to also gain the freezing ability of Gard monster there. Her life is so unfortunate. If God really loved humans, there's no way he'll tolerate this. What can she hope from this life that doesn't allow even a little warmth? Humans cannot live without warmth. She survived with no regard of expectation, reaching her 19th birthday today. Now, with the one thing she poses, she will commit her first sin. She has to do it right. She releases bars of ice and it stabbed herself, blood gushes out of her body, she falls to the ground. She feels it's warm, she prays, saying that if anyone is listening as far as this place, her one prayer should he heard, she begs that the next time she comes on earth, she shouldn't be born in a place this cold. She opens her eyes faintly, a woman shouts at her, calling her useless, she looks up, it's her mother, she's surprised. She wonders if it's flashes of the past because she looks younger. Her mother goes ahead saying that things like her shouldn't have been given birth to. She's sad, of all the memories why did she have to see this one, till the very end, they didn't let her have peace. Her mother tells her not to pretend to be pitiful, that anytime he sees her, it feels like she's walking on the fires of hell, her eyes is burning rage. Her mother, former Empress Alicia, unsatisfied even with the status of the Empress, still fell into decadence, with Millard succeeding into the imperial throne. Her mother, who found herself at loose ends, had her blame placed at the newborn child she was. As she was young then, she really thought she was at fault, so she kept her mouth shut, and without a word, she endured, such an idiot she was. Her mother takes her music box and throws it to the floor, shattering it. She looks at her and finds her absent-minded. She hits her on her face, angry that even a thing like her would find her laughable. The slap hurts her. She definitely died, perhaps she returned to the past, while still having her freezing ability. Her mother talks on, surprised that her own daughter is looking at her with disdain. She says that if that's her retribution, then it's way too cruel. It's morning, in a castle. A young boy walks in the passage. He seems to have heard something. A gift is brought to Alicia. It's for the princess, it's a gift from Emperor. Alicia tells the maid to drop it anywhere. She wonders why the Emperor would want to give her daughter a gift. It's a music box. Valerie listens to the music box when she's sad. It gives her kind words, which she has never heard since she came into this world. Back to present. The music box is shattered into pieces by her mother. She tells her that she shouldn't leave the room until all her wounds heal, threatening her not to step a foot outside without her permission. He walks away saying that she can't even step out even if she wanted. Valerie sits on the floor. Her mind flashes to the gift that was broken. She wonders why she even had to endure. She stands up, shoves her mother, and runs out of the room. Her mother falls down and calls for the maids to get her before she goes far away. In fast movement, Princess Valerie races through the castle corridors, her heart pounding with desperation. She's unsure of her destination, but one thought echoes in her mind, the Emperor. In her darkest moments, he had been her lifeline, sending supplies to sustain her in the desolate snow mountains. Perhaps now, he could offer assistance once more. With every step, she calls out for aid, her voice echoing off the cold stone walls of the empty passageway. But her cries fall on deaf ears, and before she can catch a glimpse of another soul, she is caught by the maids. The maids, swift and silent like shadows, deliver the news of her capture to her mother with a cruel jest. Surprised by her agility, even in her vulnerable state, they mockingly advise her to maintain her dignity. Struggling against their grasp, Princess Valerie attempts to protest, but her words are stifled by the firm hand of one maid. They urge her to comply obediently, promising the former empress's forgiveness if she submits. Panic grips her heart as she contemplates her options, her fate sealed if they succeed in taking her away. For a fleeting moment, a dangerous thought crosses her mind, to freeze her captors with her supernatural abilities. But just as quickly, she dismisses the notion, refusing to succumb to the darkness within her. Though she possesses the powers of a monster, she resolves not to become one. As they drag her closer to her inevitable fate, Princess Valerie's gaze flickers to the shadows, where a small boy with golden hair cowers behind a wall. Recognizing him as the Emperor's son, she realizes the gravity of her situation. With a silent plea, She hopes he comprehends the danger she faces, and will seek help from his father. Once more, she cries out for salvation, but her voice is silenced anew by the maids. The boy's wide-eyed astonishment is etched in her memory, as they forcibly escort her to the ominous chamber awaiting her presence. In that moment, Princess Valerie can only pray that her silent plea for aid has reached the ears of someone who can intervene before it's too late. As they usher Princess Valerie into the dimly lit chamber, her mother's piercing gaze meets hers with a mixture of disappointment and irritation. Inquiring if they encountered anyone during the pursuit, the maid says no. This made her mother agree with them. Nestled in the secluded confines of their abode, secrets rarely escape to the Emperor Millard. Turning her attention to Valerie, her mother's voice cuts through the silence like a blade. With a scornful twist of her lips, she berates Valerie for her futile attempt at escape, accusing her of audacity for defying her authority. Clenching her fists, she contemplates whether to reassert her dominance over her rebellious daughter. In the midst of their tense exchange, the maids interject with urgent news: the Emperor's knights have arrived. Startled, her mother wonders aloud how they could have been alerted to their secluded hideaway. Suspicion brews as she orders the maids to tidy the room swiftly, casting a wary glance at Valerie. Instructing the maids to restrain Valerie and subdue any outcry, her mother advises Valerie to maintain silence, as if she were lifeless. With a promise of further discussions, she leaves Valerie to the mercy of her captors as night descends upon the chamber. The arrival of the Emperor's knights, led by Bruno Renorman, brought an unexpected turn of events. Greeting them with forced civility, her mother pretends to be surprised at their visit, questioning their sudden concern for Valerie's well-being. Bruno explains that the Emperor had sent him to assess the princess's condition, much to her mother's astonishment. Seizing the opportunity to defy the Emperor's orders, her mother refuses to comply, insisting that Valerie is indisposed after completing her etiquette lessons. Bruno, taken aback by her defiance, attempts to reason with her, citing his duty to follow orders. Unmoved, her mother challenges Bruno's loyalty, questioning whether her status as the former empress renders her words of little or no importance. As tensions escalate, the sound of footsteps signified the arrival of a figure cloaked in authority, the Emperor himself. Bruno bows respectfully, apologizing for the disturbance, but before he can complete his explanation, the Emperor intervenes. Expressing foreknowledge of the situation, he dismisses Bruno's apologies, asserting his right to visit his sister unannounced. Facing her mother's disbelieving gaze, the Emperor asserts his prerogative to see Valerie, disregarding any objections. With a steely resolve, he demands Valerie's whereabouts, signaling an imminent reckoning in the silent chamber. He asks again where Valerie is. The former empress tells him that now that he's here, the princess would be surprised to see him. She apologizes, saying that they are not close enough to exchange greetings. She wonders within herself that he wouldn't even pay attention to her for the past 9 years. She doesn't know what brings him here now. She tells him that he must have a reason for wanting to wake her up and seeing her. He tells her that he had received word that the one and only princess of their empire was being dragged away by her mere servants. Alicia smiles mischievously and asks him what he's talking about. The maids available tells him that they don't know anything of sort. He looks unconvinced. He said that he didn't know that all the palace maids were in Vobortsi. He orders his knights to search the whole place and find the princess. Alicia is surprised. She tells him that he's overacting, asking him why he'll give such an order based on hearsay. Someone's voice echoed a loud no. She turns to see the Crown Prince Erlance. He appears behind his father. He says that it's not just hearsay, that he saw it with his own eyes and reported. Alicia is surprised. She wonders why of all people, why is it the Crown Prince that saw it? The Emperor tells him that it's okay, that he'll take it from there. But he refuses, saying that he's the first person to witness it, so he's going to see it through to the end. He asks him if he's still going to be stubborn. Alicia looks at him angrily. The Emperor tells her that before the knights find the princess, it would be better for her to bring her out on her own and confess. He asks again about the whereabouts of Valerie, and she replies still that she doesn't know. He's angry. He asks her how long she's going to keep lying for. She replies that she doesn't know. she tells him that she won't know a thing until the very end. She asks him why he's doing that to her. Prince Erlend's voice cuts her short. He tells the knights to open the closet behind Alicia, saying he thinks Valerie would be hidden inside there. Alicia is surprised. Immediately someone opens the closet and there's Valerie, on her knees, all tied up. Erlend tells her that she shouldn't worry, that he's here to save her. She is brought out of the closet and he cuts her loose. She's brought before the Emperor, who is happy to see her. She thinks fast, now is the best time to act, she can't hesitate here. She goes on her knees immediately, bowing her head. She begs him to please help her, that she's going to do whatever he wants, that she really needs his help. Her mother is embarrassed. She asks her what she's doing. The Emperor is moved. He doesn't want to even ask what this is about. He orders the arrest of Alicia and all the housekeepers and servants of Ronin Palace who aided in the abuse of the princess. Alicia tries to beg, but it falls on deaf ears. The Emperor tells both Valerie and Erlend to leave the rest for the knights, and they should get out of there. Over there, Alicia is fumming. She wonders why everyone is fussing as if they haven't punished her enough. She calls Valerie and asks if she thinks she'll survive treating her mother like that. She was cut shut by Bruno, who closes her mouth with his hand. The Emperor tells her that he sees that there's nothing she won't dare to say and that her true colors have shown. He tells her that they'll weigh the gravity of her words one by one, ordering Bruno to hold a strict interrogation of all previous incidents. He turns to the princess and says that they should hurry and leave, that he's sure that she's in shock. She shivers a little bit, and he removes his overcoat and places it on her, chiding himself for being careless. He tells her that he won't harm her. He asks for her permission in order for him to carry her because he feels that it would be hard for her to walk in that state. He asks her if it would be okay and she nods in agreement. He thanks her and carries her. He tells Prince Erlend that it's time to go to the Fernand Palace. He tells him that he applauds his bravery, but he doesn't like that he walks around recklessly. Erlend quickly apologizes, promising never to do it again. The princess looks on, in the arms of the Emperor. She received the help she wanted, but all these warmth feels unfamiliar. Up until now, she was withering away alone in this icy cold place. She wonders if it's truly happening to her. What if it's all a dream? Erlend cuts her off from her thoughts by asking her if she's badly hurt, but she replies that she's okay. She continues thinking indeed, there's no way these kind gazes are part of a dream, so in this warmth, she wants to bask in it for a little longer. Amidst the elegance of Fernand Palace, the Emperor walks purposefully, holding both Erlend and Valerie in his strong arms. His presence commands attention as he is greeted by Kyle, the head butler, who casts a concerned glance at Valerie. Sensing the gravity of the situation, he offers to summon the imperial doctor, and the Emperor gives him the go-ahead to do so in order for Valerie to receive medical attention shortly. Inquiring about the whereabouts of the Empress and Empress Dowager, the Emperor learns that they await him in the drawing room. With a nod of acknowledgement, he instructs Kyle to escort Valerie to join them once her treatment is complete. Turning to Ryle, a trusted servant of Fernand Palace, he gently transfers Valerie into her care. Ryle, ever dutiful, introduces herself to Valerie and extends a reassuring hand, beckoning her to follow. Erlend, eager to accompany his newfound aunt, wriggles free from his father's embrace with youthful enthusiasm. Chuckling fondly, the Emperor grants Erlend permission, reminding him to exercise caution. Despite their familial bond, he admits he still struggles to adjust to their unique relationship dynamic. At first glance, Erlend and Valerie may appear as mere children, but their connection runs deeper. They are aunt and nephew. As they embark on their journey through the palace corridors, their bond strengthens, woven with threads of familial love and companionship. And in the hallowed halls of Fernand Palace, amidst whispers of intrigue and tradition, their unconventional relationship blossoms into something truly extraordinary. As the bustling corridors of Fernand Palace gradually empty, leaving only the Emperor and Kyle in their wake, a solemn air settles over the grand halls. The Emperor's expression is grave as he confides in Kyle, revealing the turbulence that is set to engulf the palace in the days to come. Kyle questions the cause of the impending unrest, to which Kyle solemnly nods in confirmation. It is, indeed, the former Empress who stirs the tempestuous winds of uncertainty. For too long, The emperor had believed her actions is born out of a mother's overprotective instincts, shielding her daughter from the harsh realities of palace life. But the truth cuts deeper than he could have imagined. In the hushed tones of their conversation, the emperor imparts his directives to Kyle with unwavering resolve. When the imperial doctor arrives, he insists upon a thorough examination of Valerie's condition, a detailed assessment that leaves no stone unturned. Kyle, ever loyal, pledges to convey the emperor's wishes without hesitation. Acknowledging Kyle's dedication, the emperor assures him that he will be relying heavily on his steadfastness in the days to come. With a final nod of assurance, he takes his leave, striding purposefully towards the drawing room where the empress and empress dowager await. Yet, beneath the composure, uncertainty looms like a shadow, casting doubt upon the fragile peace of Fernand Palace. As the emperor navigates the intricate web of palace politics and familial strife, he knows that the path ahead will be filled with challenges and betrayals. But with Kyle at his side, a beacon of loyalty in the storm, he faces the chaotic seas ahead with determination. In the drawing room, there sit Empress Dowager, Valerie Bellov and Empress Lila Bellov. They both welcomed him. Lila asks if something happened because she can't find Erlance anywhere. He sits down, facing them. He tells them that he wants to discuss something with them. Back in the room, where she's waiting for the doctor, the princess sits on a chair with Ryle checking her out. She looks in the mirror and sees her reflection. She wonders if she's around the age of 9 now. She remembers back then, it was unforgettable. At night when everyone was fast asleep, she would turn on the music box in secret. She imagined growing up in a bright and harmonious family for comfort. Just like Erlance, he stands there, looking at her injuries. She apologizes and he asks why, asking if she did anything wrong to him, and she tells him that he saw many things he didn't have to see and must be very shocked. She feels that it must have taken a toll on a kid like him. He's surprised to hear that. He tells her that she's not supposed to apologize for something like that. That instead of apologizing, she should be thanking him, that's what his mother told him. He tells her that he wants to hear her express gratitude. She does that. Immediately, thanking him for helping her. He smiles happily, telling her that he appreciated it. As they gaze at each other, a shimmer of light coalesces into the figure of a person before them. Is this what they will look like, bathed in ethereal radiance? Before they can ponder further, a gentle knock interrupts their reverie, heralding the arrival of the royal doctor, Fernand Ryan. With a warm smile, Dr. Ryan enters the room, greeted by both the prince and princess with genuine warmth. The princess recognizes her immediately, the esteemed physician renowned as the best among the 3 imperial doctors. It's a surreal moment for her, to finally meet the hero, who was in her past life, the one who once saved the poisoned empress from certain death, at the hands of her own mother. Dr. Ryan is known for her unwavering dedication and singular focus, answering only to the emperor's commands. Turning to Erlance, she requests his departure, prompting his puzzled inquiry. Why must he leave? With gentle reassurance from the princess and a reluctant nod from Erlance, he acquiesces, though not without a warning to the doctor, do not harm the princess. As Erlance reluctantly steps aside, positioning himself by the door with a protective stance, the princess braces herself for the treatment ahead. In the quiet of the room, with only the soft hum of anticipation hanging in the air, she places her trust in Dr. Ryan's capable hands, knowing that whatever lies ahead, she is not alone. As the treatment commences, the doctor's hands move with precision, tending to bruises and administering injections. Ordinarily, a child would cry out in pain, but the princess couldn't feel any pain. The doctor remains silent. Perhaps, the princess muses, it's her way of coping with the task at hand. With each touch and bandage applied, the princess waits in anticipation, wondering why the doctor is so quiet. Eventually, after what feels like an eternity, the doctor announces that the treatment is complete. Relief washes over the princess, as she prepares to inquire about the scars hidden beneath her clothing. With a hesitant voice, she asks if she needs to report her condition to the emperor. The doctor's silence speaks volumes, prompting the princess to continue. She confesses her gratitude for the emperor's concern, acknowledging that without his intervention, she would still be confined in her previous captivity. It's a moment of reflection for her, a realization of the newfound freedom granted by the Emperor's benevolence. As she prepares to reveal her scars, she knows that this moment is pivotal for her future. With resolve in her heart, she begins to undress, but encounters a momentary struggle. Sensing her difficulty, the doctor offers assistance, a gesture of kindness that the princess accepts wholeheartedly. In this shared moment of vulnerability, trust blooms between them, forging a bond that transcends the confines of Ronin Palace. After the examination, Canna seeks to write her report, which states that upon examining the scars incurred at different times, I have come to the conclusion that Her Highness, the princess, was subjected to constant abuse. As the princess steps out of the room, she finds Erlance waiting for her with a bright smile. His concern for her well-being is evident as he asks if she's all right. Curious, he inquires if the doctor, Canna, made her treatment painful, to which she reassures him with a shake of her head. Grateful for his comforting presence, she credits him for making the experience pain-free. Erlance's face lights up with joy at her words, relieved to hear that she wasn't hurt. With a newfound sense of camaraderie, he suggests they go and see his father together. With Erlance by her side, the princess feels a sense of reassurance as they embark on their next adventure, eager to face whatever challenges may come their way. They move to where the Emperor is seating and the butler announces their presence. The Emperor asks them to bring the children in. Valerie had a change of clothes. She walks into the drawing room, and wonders why the atmosphere is so solemn. She thinks that the Emperor must have informed the Empress Dowager and Empress Lila. She wonders if they'll believe her. She sits down on a chair. The Emperor began talking. He tells her that they have read the referral note from the royal doctor. He tells her that it must have been hard for her and thanks her for her courage. She sits looking silently. He goes on. He tells her that nothing is left to be investigated as he was there in person. But they'll need concrete evidence to strip the former empress of her title. Empress Lila speaks at last. She tells her that they are gathered to her own part of the story, asking her to tell them what happened if it's all right by her. Valerie replies that she'll tell everything. She tells them that it was very painful, lonely and scary, and she didn't want to leave that way again. That's why she ran out. The Emperor asks why she didn't ask for help. Then, as an afterthought, he remembers that that's not a good question, that they should have sensed it right off the bat. Valerie remembers what her mother usually says to her. She tells her that she's a terrible monster, that no one would love her or come to help her, that even if she tells the Emperor, her efforts will be in vain, because she is the terrible daughter of his nemesis. She tells them that that's what her mother always say to her, that's why she couldn't reach out for help. By saying that she's the daughter of his nemesis, Empress Dowager is shocked to hear that. The Emperor is furious. He couldn't have believed that she blamed her wrongdoings on her daughter and threatened her. He says that he wasn't aware that her servants were all on it. He didn't suspect anything when they said the former empress had been raising the princess lovingly. He apologizes to her for not finding out sooner. Erlance wraps his arms around her in a comforting embrace, his voice gentle and reassuring. He reminds her that she is not a monster, emphasizing that true monstrosity lies within those who have inflicted pain upon her. With a heartfelt plea, he urges her to guard her heart against further harm. Touched by his words and the sincerity in his eyes, tears prick at the corners of her own. As she leans into his embrace, a sense of warmth and acceptance washes over her, enveloping her in a cocoon of safety. Empress Lila approaches, her presence radiating empathy and understanding. With a tender touch, she echoes Erlance's sentiments, acknowledging the immense burden the princess has carried alone. In her reassuring words, the princess finds solace and strength, knowing that she is not alone in her struggles. With Erlance and Empress Lila by her side, the princess feels a glimmer of hope stirring within her heart. In their unwavering support, she finds the courage to face the challenges that lie ahead, knowing that she can rely on their love and guidance. Together, they stand united against the darkness, forging a bond that will weather any storm. As they settle into their seats to discuss the case of the former empress, Empress Lila voices her concern. She believes it's time to stop granting leniency simply because of the empress's child. Empress Dowager nods in agreement, stating that there would have been no mercy had their roles been reversed. The Emperor shares the sentiment, acknowledging the need to address the situation with severity. They pledge to convene and deliberate on the appropriate punishment for the former Empress's transgressions. Their attention then turns to the children, who have succumbed to sleep on the couch. Smiling softly at the sight of their peaceful slumber, they decide to relocate them to a more comfortable setting. With gentle hands, they carry the children to a cozy room, where a music box fills the air with a soothing melody. It's the next day. Valerie wakes up on the bed. Erlance wakes up almost immediately. He yawns and asks her if she slept well. She replies yes and asks where they are. He tells her that they are in the Emperor's chamber. She looks closely at him and tells him that his eyes is puffy. He replies that his own eyes are the same. They both laughed happily. As if she had woken up on a morning after the winter season passed, outside the window, new sprouts have bloomed on the trees, signaling the start of a new season. If you're eager for the next chapter, drop a comment expressing your interest in a part 2. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to stay updated. Until next time, ciao.